Hi everybody. So today I am going to be I'm going to be recording this and posting this because I think there needs to be more build videos, especially with the small form factor builds. I know they're getting popular, and I'm actually very excited about this build today. I decided on the Fractal Ridge. I grabbed all these parts during Black Friday, and I'm excited to build my new rig. I chose the Fractal Ridge. I knew I was going to go small form factor, but I didn't know if I wanted to go like ARGB with like a NR200p. But I decided that I wanted to go with the Ridge because I liked the idea of it being a small form factor and like the size of a PlayStation or an Xbox. Obviously no ARGB, but I'm okay, I can live with that for the size. So to briefly go over the parts that I'm using here today, we're going all AMD today. I think that we probably have the best value for the parts this year, at least. AMD seems to give great value. We're going with a 7800 X3D. It's the best gaming CPU on the market. And we're pairing that up with the Radeon RX 7900 XTX. Until the 4080 Super comes out, that is in my opinion, best graphics card for the money. Sorry, I can't afford a 4090 as much as I'd love to have one. We're going with the ASRock B650i Lightning Wi-Fi small form factor motherboard. We are going to be pairing that up with the Team Group T-Create RAM. This is 6000, speed 6000, and CL30, which seems to be the sweet spot for the 7800 X3D. We're going with a SFX, the V85 SFX Gold White Edition from Cooler Master. And we are going to be cooling the CPU with the Noctua NHL12S, which should give us like the perfect amount of clearance for the Fractal Ridge. Finally, we're going with the 990 Pro for the NVME drive and some MX6 thermal compound for the CPU. So yeah, I'm excited about this build, and let's get started. All right. First, I'm going to I'm going to open up the case and get that out, because this is also going to be my ground. I'm going to use it as my ground. So let's get this open. All right, we've got Ridge accessories that have come with the box. I'll get to that in a minute. Let's get the actual case out. All right, there it is, the Fractal Ridge. I already really like the design. Lots of ventilation for cooling. I believe that this is the ventilation for the graphics card, and that this would be the ventilation for the CPU, and power supply at the bottom. Yeah, I'm very excited about this build. The Radeon RX 7900 XTX the pulse will fit in there in this, and I am a little bit nervous because I'm afraid that the power for the graphics card might come up over the edge here. We will see. This is partly part of the reason why I'm making this video, is because I didn't see anything online that's specified with the 7900 XTX, particularly the Pulse, the Sapphire Pulse version, if it does have clearance. If it unfortunately is the case that we're going to need that right angle bracket. This is my little helper right here. This is Maxine. Just you helping me today? Yes, you better help me. You're a good girl. If that is the case, then I'm going to need that right angle connector. I'll do some research on that and order those online. Otherwise, we might just have to go without a top for the time being, and I'll get that right angle and connect that at a later date. But we'll see. I'm hopeful that this will just work. So all right, let's check out the Ridge accessories of what's come in with the Ridge. All right, we've got the Fractal user guide here. This apparently has gotten great reviews. Fractal's done a good job with their user guide, so I'm looking forward to a good user guide. Looks like we got a stand, another stand in here, and what looks like, so there's a stand, this goes underneath it, or on the side for feet. And then what looks like screws and bits and bobs for probably motherboard mounting and other items. Is this a... Oh, okay, so these are tie downs. Okay, all right. There's the bridge, the adapter, the graphics card adapter that we'll be using to get the graphics card mounted and installed. All right, so put this off to the side and put this off to the side. All right, let's get this user manual out. Let's see what we're looking at. Yeah, already it does look like it's going to be a very easy read to understand how to work with this case. Yeah, okay. So we've got an air cooling configuration, home theater PC configuration in here. All-in-one water cooler configuration for those of you that want an AIO, but I think that the AIO would limit the clearance for the graphics card, which I don't want to do because I want as beefy as a graphics card as I can get in there, because this is going to be primarily for gaming. So yeah, so let's get to the builder's guide section here. So states to start removing the panels, the side panels, which are toolless. I think that's the only part of this that's toolless. So let's get that. Okay. It looks like the toolless thumb screws for the side stay in the side panel. All right, and here we got the inside of the Ridge. It comes with these two case fans. And it looks like there's already it's already wired, or like it's already wired, like how it's going to be run. It's already set up like that. We might have to we're gonna have to pull that out and mess around with it once we get the motherboard in there and start connecting things. Okay, next it says to remove the front panel. So I believe this is just magnetic. It comes right off. It's very nice. Okay, and then we're going to be removing the top cover, which we need a screwdriver for, as it has these screws that need to be unscrewed here. You can see that. Okay, and this is supposed to pop off. There we go. All right, we got it off. Okay, and then next we are going to remove the bottom panel. Looks like it's exactly the same with the screws. I'll take a look and see if they are the same screws. dog is looking at me like I'm crazy talking to myself. Maybe I am a little crazy, but I think this is fun. So this does look like they are the same screw. Threading looks the same, screw looks the same. I don't know why they would change the screws from the top to the bottom. So I think that we're good here. Okay, this pops off. There we go. And there's the bottom. Looks very similar to the top. I wonder, yeah, I guess they're not interchangeable. So just FYI, the bottom has these larger screws here. That is where I'm assuming the stand is going to mount, whereas like the top does not have those. So that will be, we'll have to remember that when we're assembling it back together. Okay, next we're going to be removing the power supply bracket. Okay, here. Okay, we've got to, so power supply bracket is here in the front of the case. It's just sitting right here. There's screws here on this side and screws on this side, it looks like as well. Looks like just one screw on this side holding it in place. So 3 screws total. Okay, so let's get that out. Okay, I'm gonna compare this for the other case screws. This also looks similar. So it looks like all these screws are simpatico, they're the same. Nope, I apologize. It does look like there are 2 screws on the side holding it into place. Yep, and that confirms with the manual. So I will get these off. So 4 screws total holding the power bracket in place. Let's get, all right, it just pops right out. Very cool. Okay, all right, next we are going to be removing the GPU bracket. And it looks like that is mounted right here. Also has so it looks like this whole piece is the GPU bracket. It has the riser connection right here. Well, it's just the PCIe connection, but that would connect to the GPU riser. So let's see if I can get that on camera. You can see, I don't know if you can see it, but this whole middle bar comes off, and that is the GPU bracket. So it looks like there are 3 screws on this one to get this out. So let me see if I can spot them. Oh yeah, they're all on this side, and I'll get them out. And it looks like this screw is the same as well. So it looks like all these screws that are holding this case together, well, not all of them, I see some differences here, but all the ones where you're going to be removing during installation seem to all be the same. Okay, and so this should just slide out, which it does, but it's also, they have it tied to the cables here. Looks like it's just twist tie. Maybe I can just undo that. And then I can remove, oh, here's another twist tie. Okay. Okay, looks like, all right, a 3rd twist tie here. They really want this twisted on. Okay, here we go. I'll leave those twist ties on there. But there's the riser cable. They've got a little plastic cap on there for that where that plugs into the motherboard for the PCI slot. And then it connects down here, and that's where the riser cable is going to go. So I'll put this off to the side. Okay. And so then next they're saying to install a 2.5-inch drive, which I'm not going to be doing. So we can skip that section. Okay, next is to install the I/O shield and prepare the motherboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bare bones case off to the side and start prepping the motherboard. So let's do that. So yeah, so again, we're using the ASRock B650i Lightning Wi-Fi. This board does have, it is DDR5, PCIe Gen 5, and in my opinion was probably the best value board. I think that a lot of the small form factor boards, the mini ITX boards, I think that they've ironed out a lot of the kinks with BIOS and have got them into a pretty good stable place. So I think that you can pick up one of these boards and have a pretty good experience with it now. At least that's what I'm hoping anyway. So let's get this prepped. First, let me do this. I'm going to ground myself on the case. So let's hook myself up. And there we go. That should do it. So now I'm theoretically grounded here. So I will get the board out. Try my best not to handle it too much, but I do want to show you what we're working with. So there's the board. Looks very nice. It's, I think, very great design. There's the I/O back panel with the BIOS flashback. Let's see, do they have a marker on here that says what the BIOS is installed on here? I don't see it. It's not popping up right away. Maybe that. Oh no, here we go. It's on the side here. I don't know if you can see that sticker right there. It says 1.28. So that's the BIOS that we're working with here. And I think that 128, if I remember correctly, does boot the 7800X3D. So I think we're okay here. I don't think we're going to need to do BIOS flashback. I'll double check that again though, but I think that we're in good shape. So it looks like the plate is already mounted on the motherboard, and I don't think that I need to take it off and mount it onto the ridge case. So let me just double check here. So here we have some instructions, AM5 CPU, installation procedure, a manual, looks like a screw, tiny screw, maybe that comes into play later, the Wi-Fi antenna, looks like the SATA cables, and some what looks like tie downs, and a sticker. Actually, it's a decent sticker. It feels pretty solid for what it's worth. Okay, so let me check this manual and see if I need to actually pull the back plate off. I don't think so. I think I can just mount it on. Yeah, I think we're okay with the back plate being on the motherboard, and we just install it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is I'm going to install the NVMe drive. And then I'm going to work on the CPU. I'm going to get that installed, then I'm going to install the RAM, and then finally the cooler. And then that should be the motherboard prepped. So let's get started. So again, we're working with a Samsung 990 Pro. Supposedly very good performance. It's saying a read speed of 7,450 megabytes per second, which compared to my old 10-year-old computer is going to be lightning fast. So very excited about that. All right, so first thing we do is we remove the heatsink. Okay, looks like the screw doesn't come out completely from the heatsink, which is nice. Okay, oh, maybe it does come out completely. No, looks like it doesn't. Very nice. I like that. So there's the heatsink from the motherboard. There's a protective film on the bottom that we've got to remove after we've installed the drive itself. So let's go ahead and get this drive installed. Very nice packaging on the drive. Okay. I think I saw a manual, but that's okay. I think we need one. Okay, looks like, oh yeah, there it is. It's in the bottom here. Okay, there's the stick. Okay. Just give the manual a quick glance here. See if there's anything on here that of vital importance. I think so. Okay. Looks like some installation instructions. Okay. This looks like, okay, so the first one is for a 2.5-inch drive for some reason. Okay, installing the M2 SSD. Looks like, yeah, you just slide it into place. There is only one way that it can align. I don't know if you can see, but the teeth, like there's a notch in it that offsets that. It's offset so that it can only install one way. And then if you see on the board, it's exactly the same. There's a notch right in where you would install the NVMe. So that checks out. Yeah, looks like that's all the information from there. So let's go ahead and install this drive. Okay. All right, looks like we're good here. Okay, you go in at a 20-degree angle and pop that into place. It sticks out a little bit. It's a little bit out, like at a 20-degree angle. That's fine. And then when you push it down into place, it should clear the screw hole that you'd be putting the heatsink back on. So now we take the protective layer off of the adhesive and the thermal that is on that, and then we place this back down onto the drive. Okay, and then we screw it into place. There should be no resistance. Let's do this give it a bit of a tighten, not too crazy. Okay, and then step one, the NVMe is installed. Okay, now step two, we're gonna install the CPU. Again, we're going with the AMD Ryzen 7800 X3D. I'm very excited about this CPU. My last gaming rig was like a 10-year-old Intel, I believe, and a 1070 GPU, and I believe that my old computer was very much CPU bound for a lot of games. So I'm excited about this CPU and the legs it's going to have taking me into the future. Looks like magnetic box with this lid here. So I'll bring that up. There's the chip, the CPU. Yep, looks like there's a sticker in there too right away. Okay. There's the CPU itself. Very good looking chip. Very excited about that. An instruction manual. I think that's probably going to be the same instructions that we saw on the motherboard. Yep, looks the same. We're not going to be using the stock cooler, which I believe is the other part that's in here, because we're going to be using that Noctua NH-L12S. Just verify. Nope, no stock cooler in this. Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right, let's make sure. So first, what you do is you need to open this compartment up for the CPU, the part that holds it down. Do that by popping this out. This little arm here pops out like that. You open that up, and then, so with this down, this comes out like that. There's like a lever there, and there's this plastic top on top. That plastic top will pop off once we install the CPU in there. Let's grab myself again. Okay. CPU out. Trying not to handle it too much. And you line it up with the tick mark. It goes in one way only, kind of facing you. I don't want to pick it up and angle it because there's just a lot happening right here. It could fall out, and that would be bad. But there's like this little tick mark, not check, this little triangle in the upper left-hand corner of the chip and also on this board. So just to line that up, it fell into place, it's in there. So now what we do is we close the cover. There it is, lying on top. And then what we do is we just push this lever back down, and this plastic top should pop off. There, it popped off, and put that arm back into place. Now we remove the plastic cover and put that off to the side. And there we have the chip installed, the CPU installed in the motherboard. All right, so now we're going to move on to the RAM. So we're gonna do the RAM next because the cooler is going to rest and cover a lot of surface area of this board. I mean, it's basically going to cover the whole board. That's why we got to put the RAM in first. We're using, again, this Team Group T-Create. It's a low profile RAM, again, it's 6000 megahertz, CL30, which again is like that sweet spot for RAM for the 7800X3D. So let's get this open. Okay, there's the RAM sticks. This is two 16 gigabyte sticks for a total of 32 gigabytes, which should last us a while. We should be good for a while with this. And given that the small form factor motherboard only has 2 slots, this hopefully will last us some time before we have to upgrade. Upgrading will be a bit of a pain because we have to take the whole cooler off. We'd have to take that Noctua cooler off, and that's yeah, that hopefully I won't have to do that for a while if I want to upgrade this one. So there we got another sticker in there. They really like giving you stickers. Okay, so just double check and ground it again. Even though I've got this on, you can never be too careful. Let's get this first dim out. I really got it in there. Okay, there we go. So this also lines up one way. So we will open up these. There are like these notches that hold it in place. Like there's the thing that you open up in order to put it in, and then you line up the stick with the notch. You can see there's a notch in the RAM itself, and you line that up with the slot. And then once it's in there, you apply pressure on both ends here until this like locking mechanism locks back into place and holds it down. So let's do that. There we go, and we're in. There it is, clicking in. Excellent. All right, the second dim. I think they're called dims, but remembering my terminology correctly. Okay, let's get this out. There we go. Really got it tight in there. All right, I'm just going to look at this and make sure that it doesn't line up when it's going the other way, because I don't want to be telling you, yes, it doesn't line up when you're going the other way. So it is only one way that it goes in, which is what I thought, but I just wanted to check so I wasn't telling you any lies here. Okay, again, even pressure on the top of the RAM so that it clicks into place. There we go, and we're in. So now we've got the RAM in there, and we're good. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the cooler, the CPU cooler. It's that Noctua L12S cooler, slim profile. It's going to be just enough clearance so that it almost comes up right against the case. But this cooler can cool the 7800X3D, and the 7800X3D is very power efficient, so it doesn't require much cooling, which does make this a great CPU for these small form factor builds. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Okay, looks like we've got accessories here. I think that we are going to have to remove the mounting brackets that are on this, this motherboard. There are mounting brackets in place here that I believe we have to remove in order to properly install this air cooler. Yep, looks like there's the air cooler in the box. Let's open up this accessory box that came with the cooler. See what we're working with. All right, we got a manual here. It's good. Let us know what we need to be working with in order to mount this. So, okay, required mounting parts. That's what we've got in here. We've got a bunch of mounting parts. Okay, looks like we've got, might need a back plate on here. Let's see. Okay, so that's Intel. We don't need Intel, so maybe we don't need that. Here we go, AMD. Required mounting parts. There's the, okay, so there's the AMD stock backplate, so I think that we're good. Let me just double check the back of this. Yep, looks like we match up with the illustration on the manual. So that metal on the back of the motherboard, that's the AMD stock mounting plate, so that's what we need in order to mount this cooler. We need a couple parts here, a couple mounting bar, 4 mounting bars it looks like, and then 4 plastic spacers, and then 4 long screws. So let's get these parts out. So we need, looks like these. So here are the spacers and screws. So we're gonna need that, and then it looks like these are the angle bracers, and these are the mounting bars that we need. So there's 2 of each here. So let me get those out. Okay. All right, it looks like it's come with a low noise adapter in here, as well as some Noctua thermal paste, but we're going to be using the MX6 today. Looks like another sticker. This one's very high quality. Probably could have made that one a pin. Very cool. And it looks like there's a long handle screwdriver to get in between get down in the cooler itself to screw this into place. So looks like, yes, so it looks like what we need to do first is we need to remove the stock mounting brackets that are on here. Okay, so those screws are out, and now these original mounting brackets just come right off. We'll put those off to the side. Okay, and now, so the next step on here is we are going to be orienting the cooler. So what I'm going to do, and let me just make sure that this works, but my plan is to orient it so that the heat pipes come up over on this side, and the cooler just rides on top here. Actually, maybe it would be best if it came up this way, because the heatsink here. Let me take a look here, see what orientation makes sense. So here you can see there's the thermal plate that's going to sit on top of the CPU. There's this low profile fan. It's a nice large 120 millimeter fan. Slim profile Noctua apparently makes a very nice fan that is going to exhaust through this heatsink. So let's see, I'm going to be trying to, let me get this plastic off here. Okay, and I'm going to be, my thinking is I'm going to be mounting it like this. And that's enough clearance off of here, but I'm wondering if I should mount it this way. It's even more clearance off of that. Let's see, maybe I can, maybe there's only a certain a couple ways that it can go. Choose either the short or long mounting bars according to the desired final orientation. Okay, I think we're going to go the long mounting, which would put the okay. So we would I think I am going to do that, although I'm nervous that it might make the heatsink a little too hot for the NVMe. So maybe I will stick with it going over the back of the I/O plate. Yeah, let's do that. So okay, so we'll use these mounting brackets that are for this orientation. That would be over the I/O back cover. So let me just double check once more here, what that's going to look like. That might touch, which I'm not too crazy about. Could maybe go this way, but then we're talking about being over the wires, which might be a problem unless I tie down the wires real good. Take it up here. That's not bad. All right, let's do this. Let's do it with this orientation. And the heat pipe's going up this way. Just check here. I don't think that's going to cause any problems for mounting it in the case. Okay, yeah, let's go this route. Okay, so if we're doing that, for that orientation, we're going to need these long brackets, and we're going to get them in place. So I believe they need to be installed this way. So there's an arrow here. I don't know if you can see it, but it says CPU and there's an arrow pointing this way. So that tells us that, well, that's where the CPU needs to be. So I'm going to be putting this on the screw holes here. Oh, okay, I think we found our first problem that's not going to let us do that this way, is that the I/O shield, here comes out over here, and unfortunately the mounting bracket also is in that area, in that vicinity, so I don't think that's going to work. So we're going to have to go with this orientation where the heat pipes are going to come off to the side, and I don't want them over the RAM, so it's going to have to be over the I/O back plate. Okay, that's not the end of the world, but decision made for us. Okay, so what we're going to do is install this where the orientation, this now says north, and it says CPU with the arrow pointing down, so this is going up to the top here. Does it need a spacer? Oh, okay, maybe it needs a spacer. Yeah, it looks like that's what the spacer's for. First, put the plastic spacers onto the screw threads of the back plate. Then fix the mounting bars to it. Okay, so that's where I was messing up. We need the spacers on first, which makes sense. Okay, so spacers going over these screw holes. That makes a lot of sense. So then in that case, then maybe I can position it the other way because I thought there just wasn't enough space, but let me take a look. Okay. Yeah, that works. So, okay, so I guess let's do that. I'm going to mount it with the heat pipes going up like on the north side of the motherboard. Okay, looks like on AM5 and Ryzen 5000, 3000 series, choose the -7mm offset hole position to ensure optimal contact quality and performance. On other AM4 CPUs, or if there are any compatibility issues in the offset position, e.g. clearance with motherboard heatsinks, please choose the standard position. So yeah, I'm using an AM5, but it doesn't say anything about 7000 series, but I'm guessing we're going to go with the offset, which is what it's asking for the 7mm. I'm sorry, for the AM5. So the offset of these, okay, so it looks like so it says on the mounting bracket, the top hole says 7mm offset. So that's what we're going to line up here. The top hole and the bottom hole of this mounting bracket. So let's get this screwed in here. Okay, so we have these mounting brackets in place. Working on this really small board, I feel like I'm working on a toy rather than a motherboard. But you can see the brackets are now in place, installed over the CPU. Okay, so I can put these ones off to the side. I don't think we need these screws anymore. I'll stick you guys in here. Don't need you. Okay, and so now, now that we've got that in place, make sure I've got everything looking right here. Okay, so now the next step here is applying the thermal paste. Okay, so let's do that. I've got the NX6 and I have a spreader. Now they are suggesting applying 5 dots to the CPU, 5 dots of thermal paste, but I'm going to use a spreader here to just ensure even coverage and minimal mess falling into the CPU itself. Okay, there's the Arctic MX6. So let's, maybe what I'll do is I will start with maybe just like a line. I saw someone online doing like a line across the top and just spreading it out. But that was on a AM4 or Intel chip, which didn't have this AM5 design on it, which looks cool as heck, but I mean it makes applying thermal paste a pain in the butt. But let's try here. Easy. Okay, that is what I assume a pea-sized amount of thermal paste would be if it was spread out into a line. So now let's take our spreader and spread this thermal paste on the CPU. Okay, so I've spread the thermal paste onto the CPU, and I am hoping that that will give it an even coverage across this uneven die, and we'll hopefully get maximum coverage here with hopefully a minimal amount of mess here going into the CPU. So I think the next step is actually installing the fan. So now we just mount the cooler to the CPU. Okay, looks like so it looks like, see these screws here, there's like one on each side here. Those screws will, they're actually hollow. I don't know if you can see it, but they're actually hollow, and they go over the mounting brackets. I'll show you on these other mounting brackets. You see this screw that comes up there. You're actually going to be screwing that screw onto this screw and mount and tighten it down that way. So let me try to line that up. There's a good angle. There we go. And we're on top. Okay, now we're on top of the CPU. Looks like we are sitting nicely. Oh, I think that might be a problem. Ah, dang it. It looks like the fan here is resting on the IO box right here. So it looks like I'm going to have to remove it after all and mount it the other way. Ah, dang it. What a pain. Anyway, well, unfortunately it is what it is, and I'll just have to deal with that. Yeah, too bad. There's one piece of the aluminum or metal that is coming out that is unfortunately right up against the cooler. I'm wondering how, or it's right up against the fan. I'm wondering if that would still be all right. I haven't tightened it down, but I wonder if that would still work. Actually, honestly, looking at this now, it looks like it's over the PCIe slot as well. So I don't think this configuration is going to work. So we're going to have to remove this and mount it in a east-west fashion. Or maybe I can mount it facing this way, but then the heat pipes are going to be right up against the riser cable, which I don't know if I want that either. So maybe over the IO board is how it's going to have to go. All right, let's, frustrating, but you know, That's what happens when you're doing these smaller builds. Okay, there we go. It was already attached to the paste. Okay, so let's remove these mounting brackets and replace them with the other ones. Okay, again, we're going with the 7mm offset that it tells us to do for the AM5. Okay, so I've installed the brackets for the other orientation, and I'm going to try to spread the thermal paste out again because when I pulled off the cooler, it made all these like little peaks and valleys in the paste, and I don't want there to be any air bubbles forming. Okay, so we're going to go with the original plan of the heat pipes going up over the I/O, the backplate I/O here, and yeah, we'll just see how we do. Okay, that seems to fit into place. It actually gives more clearance from the backplate I/O than I thought it would. So I guess that is the optimal position after all. Yeah, all right, let's get this screwed down and seated, shall we? Here's the tool that they've given us. It's you know, a Phillips head on one end, like kind of Allen wrench on the other, and you go down in between these in these holes here that you can reach the screw. Just kind of got to position the fan out of the way in order to get down there, but easy enough. They recommend make sure gently tighten the screws until they stop, not to use excessive force, and perform 2 to 3 turns in each screw, then repeat until both are fully tightened. So let's do that. Okay, and we are screwed in, and this cooler is now mounted to our board, to the CPU onto the board. Yeah, looks pretty good. You can see that clearance from the heat pipes to that back I/O. Just a little bit of clearance over the RAM, and plenty of space between the cooler and the PCIe at the bottom here. Yep, we are looking good. So I'd say that is our motherboard configured, installed, ready to go. So I think now we go back to the case and we install this into the case. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It looks like the graphics that they give in the Ridge manual, it looks like they have the Noctua NHL 12S in the graphics itself. So it almost seems like the Ridge intended for the Noctua NHL 12S to be installed in this case. which is a good sign for us. Looks like the orientation they have here has the ATX power facing the power supply, which is over here. So it looks like the board is going to be facing this way, and so let's do that. This wiring tie downs are not ideal, but I don't want to pull too much off. Maybe I should anyway. So it looks like I'm going to have to. But maybe not. We'll see. Okay, so yeah, so it looks like the PCIe is facing where the bracket was. The GPU bracket, which was right here. So, okay, so yeah, so our orientation looks right. ATX, the pins facing the power supply, ATX power facing the power supply. Yeah, okay, so that is the orientation, and I think that's good. It is showing the NHL12S in a different orientation, where they essentially, let me see if I can show you. Essentially, this part of the NHL12S cooler is facing this way. So it wasn't that original orientation that we had sort of planned, but the other way. So if you want to follow along with the Ridge guide, you would install it like this, where this part, like the heat pipes are actually coming out. Sorry, I should be on camera. Sorry. In the Ridge user guide, the orientation is this way, so that these parts are over the PCIe slot, and then like the heat pipes are on this side on the back. I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. I think that we should be okay in this orientation. I don't know, I actually might even prefer this orientation, as I think the heat pipes are, well, again, also, I think it was because of I think it was also because the board wasn't helpful, this ASRock board. The problem was here, this cooler fan conflicted with this like little metal piece right here, this metal shroud right there, and it was sitting on top of it, and that's why I had to move it. It does look like there might be enough clearance, but man, it's tight. So I think I'm going to stick with this orientation, and we'll just give it a go. I think honestly the orientation shouldn't probably make too big of a problem. So yeah, okay, so let's get this installed. So we are going to be placing the motherboard on these standoffs here, and we'll be tightening that into place with the provided screws that were in the that came with the motherboard. I believe that the motherboard just rests directly on the standoffs. I don't think that there's any spacer in between the motherboard and the standoffs. The Fractal guide doesn't show anything about any kind of standoff from the case to the board, and I think that's by design. If I'm remember correctly, it does serve as like a ground for the motherboard. So okay, so I think we're good here. We'll get the board into the case and screw it into place. All right, looks like there is a bit of an issue. Yeah, it looks like we need to remove this power plug, unscrew this power plug before it can fit into place. So let's do that. So yeah, so this slides out like that. And you know what else I'm going to do is I'm going to untie these twist ties here and move these wires out of the way because they are not helping. So this comes out like that, slides out, gives some space here to work with, and slide the motherboard in. The I/O plate was butting up against this when I was trying to install it before. All right, let's try this again. Okay, we've got the motherboard aligned with the standoffs, and now it's time to screw it into place. Okay, Fractal is telling us to use these screws, 4 of them. I see that there is a 4-pack here, but there's also these smaller screws, which it kind of looks like these line up better with the motherboard. The socket here, or with these screw holes here. Oh, here we go. Okay, so the accessory box contents on page 11, showing multiple mounting screws. Just says mounting screws. So I'm guessing I can actually, hold on a second. M632 M3. Here we go. I think this is what I need. No, it's not telling me what type of screw that is. The picture looks like kind of looks like the smaller ones. I think it's the smaller ones. We'll try it. I wish it would tell me what screw to use here. I mean, maybe that's just common knowledge, but it's been 10 years since I built a PC, and well, if that's common knowledge, it's new to me. So we'll go with the smaller ones. We'll see how those work. If they don't fit, we'll go with the larger one. Okay, so yeah, the smaller screws seem to screw in nicely in this slot. So we're gonna stick with that. Don't over tighten. You don't want to crush the board by over tightening. Just snug it. Okay. All right, we are motherboard installed. This is not much clearance for the plate, for the side panel, but probably it looks like enough space where it won't be right up against it. All right, now I will screw this power cable back in. Okay, it says to install the power supply. I think I'm going to plug in header cables into the motherboard before I plug in the power supply, because I think that I've watched some videos where it really, it seems like it's a pain once the power supply is installed to really work with installing those header cables. So I'm going to do that first, and hopefully that won't be too much trouble. Okay, so I think I see why it was supposed to be installed. The cooler was supposed to be installed in this orientation, in that it the fan itself, the power for the fan comes out the top here, but the header for the fan is actually down here at the bottom of the case. So that's a hassle. I don't think it's probably a good idea to run, although it does look heat shielded. I don't know if it's a good idea to run it along the heat pipes. Yeah, so plugged in, the wire, it does look like there's some kind of protection on the wires, but they are right up against those heat pipes, and probably not the best position for it. So learn from my mistake, install the cooler in the correct orientation, which is with the heat pipe terminals facing the PCIe Express bus. And then you won't have this problem that I did. Okay, so let's undo this. I think rather than remove the whole motherboard again, I think I'm going to just remove the CPU cooler and put it in the proper position, rather than unscrew the motherboard from the standoff. So yeah, let's go. Let's do that. Well, one good thing is that I did get to see how this looks, how the die looks on the cooler here, and it looks a bit off in my opinion. You can see how it was offset on the thermal paste is offset on the cooler. So it looks like it probably wouldn't have had optimal cooling, which is interesting. Okay. Hopefully the new orientation will solve that issue as well. I'm going to respread the thermal paste. Looks like there was some mess, some fell off the die. But for the most part, it looks pretty evenly spread. What I'm doing is adding like a little bit less than a pea size right in the center, and hopefully that should spread out, because it looks like the sides are fine on this die. It just looks like we need a little bit more in the center. Hopefully. Again, I think I need to run thermals and make sure that we're looking okay. Okay, so again, learn from my mistake. Do not install the cooler the way that I did. Instead, you're going to want to install it so that the heat pipe terminals are facing the PCIe Express slot. I'll show you what that looks like in a second, as soon as I get this run through correctly. Also, this is a perfect example of why you should read your manual front and back before you start this kind of job. But I thought that I would do this with you here and kind of give you I'll make a mistake so you don't have to kind of treatment. Okay, so oh right, I need to install the proper brackets. Okay, again, CPU arrow facing the CPU. Okay, let's get these on the standoffs. The 7mm AM5 position. All right, we've snuggled those into place. Now let's drop the cooler back on with the heat pipe terminals over the PCIe board, the PCIe slot. I think I see another issue with this orientation. The heat pipes are touching up against the power plug here and making contact, and I don't want this making contact on the power plug. Maybe once it's in place it'll be lower. That is questionable. Yeah, I don't like that either. This whole thing is very questionable. If it was mounted this way, Yeah, we're again touching the fan is unfortunately making contact with the IO, the back IO case there. So I don't think we can go that way. And then if we go this way might work. Let's see. No, this doesn't look like it's gonna work either. It's too far back. Even with the yeah, we would have to be like here. That won't work. This is what it shows in the fractal diagram. This orientation. Problem is this power plug here is in the way and would make contact with the heat pipe, and I don't want melted power plug causing shorts. That would bye-bye computer. I think at this point, it seems like the best orientation was the orientation that I had it in, which was this way. But the fan cable would be running along the heat pipes, which that's not optimal either. I think at this point, it's time for me to pause this recording, do some research, and try to get to the bottom of this. I'll be back. Okay, we're back. So after some research, apparently some folks have just unscrewed the power cable and just pulled it out. My thinking is that the offset of the 7mm offset for the mounting brackets is what's putting it too far down onto the, where it's butting up against the power cable. The offset is apparently for Ryzen, the chiplet design, where most of the heat that comes off of the board, or that comes off of the die, is in the south part of the board. So actually looking at the chip right now, it is flipped this way. So a higher mounting should be better overall anyway. So I'm guessing that this is what I'm going to try to do. On the mounting bracket, there is the 7mm offset hole, which is the top part, the top one. The second set of holes, the ones underneath, those are the ones that are the normal mounting, not just the offset. So I believe that with the mounting in place, and maybe the issue is that the board is mounted upside down here. Like when the Fractal case is standing up, the board's actually upside down, the motherboard's upside down. So if I was to put the mounting brackets where they were facing the way that it should be, it would be the 7mm offset where that it would be mounted on. So, okay, so I think that's the key here. I think I mounted, because the board was upside down in the Fractal ridge, I lined up the mounting brackets in a way that was aligned to me, but not to the board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 7mm offset, but in the correct orientation for the board so that it is lined up correctly. And that actually should put the heatsink higher in the Fractal ridge, lower on the board and the CPU. So the CPU will take the advantage of that lower placement on the die where the heat actually is, and it should hopefully not touch this power cable and anything else there. And then that should get us, hopefully, what should be correct. All right, let's try this again. Yeah, this is, I'm making these mistakes, so you don't have to. Hopefully this saves one person from having to go through this, what I went through. It'll be worth it, and I'm hopeful that my experience can help somebody out there with this, because there wasn't that much information on my quick Google search about how to solve this. So just a lot of people like literally mounting, 3D printing a mount for the power cable to be extended so that it won't touch it. I'm hoping that I won't have to do that, and that this orientation, this correct 7mm offset orientation will fix this problem. So let's see. All right, I'm going to apply one more pea-sized shape. I scraped off a good amount of the thermal paste that was on the cooler itself, and that was, kind of offset on the die. And I'm going to apply that pea-shaped size amount onto the die again, and that should hopefully get me the right amount of coverage. I don't have much mess. It does look like coverage is pretty good. So I think we're okay with what we've been doing, at least in the thermal paste department. All right, I actually didn't do that. I made a little cross section. Whatever. At this point, I don't think my thermal paste coverage is my biggest problem. So we're gonna go with it. All right, let's mount this cooler back on here, and third time's a charm, hopefully. Okay, so I haven't tightened it all the way yet, because looking at it now, it looks like this clearance is fine at the bottom now. We're perfectly fine. The power cable will fit just fine. Now the problem is that the GPU riser looks like we might have an issue here. Actually, no, we don't. Looks like we are pretty good here. So I think this will work. Yeah, okay, so then note for everybody out there who's planning on doing this build, don't use or use the 7mm offset, but make sure the mounting brackets are in the correct orientation. Make sure you're looking at the motherboard the correct way, and that the mounting brackets are also in the correct orientation for that. Because what my mistake was that I wasn't using the 7mm offset, and I was in fact using the normal orientation for the mounting bracket, and that was hitting the power cable at the bottom. And now everything seems like it's going to work and fit perfectly. So wish I didn't make that mistake early on, but hey, hopefully my learning experience here will save somebody the same grief in the future. So I'll make the mistake so you don't have to. All right, so it looks like it just clears. The fan just clears the I/O board. The power cable has plenty of clearance. The fan power cable, the CPU fan power cable, has plenty of slack to not rub up against the heat pipes. So I actually think we're good here. I might try to keep this from coming down and actually rubbing up against it when it's sitting on here, but I think a twist tie will fix that problem. Yeah, great. That makes me feel much better. I was nervous I was going to have to do some kind of wonky thing here, or just have the power cord just sticking out of the case, which I would have done for the time being until I could find a more elegant solution. But you know, not having to do that also is nice. All right, so I'm going to go back to hooking up the headers to the board and doing a little bit of cable management, and that should hopefully get me where I need to be before we move on to installing and mounting the power supply, and then onto the graphics card. Right, so I flipped the case so that actually the motherboard can be in alignment with me, so that I can more easily read the motherboard manual. Is probably something I should have done when I was trying to mount the fan, but here we are. So let's continue. All right, so I got the headers, front panel headers in, CPU fan, case fans, the USB, audio, everything installed or hooked up to the motherboard. A little bit of light cable management. There's a lot of cabling in this case that really doesn't need to be here. I mean, look at all this extra cable. That's, I don't know, like that's gonna have to, it's gonna have to live somewhere. We're gonna find out where once, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, basically. So now we're going to, we're gonna install the power supply, the 850 SFX Gold White Edition, and get this into the case. That'll be the next thing we do, and then we'll hook up the cabling. Actually, I might hook up the cabling first before I get the power supply in there, just because there's really not much room to work with here, and getting that cabling run first probably is a smart move before I get the power supply installed. So we'll do that. Okay, so reading some of this documentation for the power supply. Do not use cables other than the original standard configuration. So basically don't use power cables that didn't come with your power supply. I've heard horror stories of people just completely frying their system because they made a simple mistake of just using different power cables, even from the same company, and they fried their system. So make sure you use the power cables that came with your unit in the box. They're saying a connector must be inserted tightly. That is pretty self-explanatory. During the process of plugging and unplugging, apply force in parallel direction to avoid wiggling. So don't wiggle the cables. It's pretty good advice. Keep the cables away from heat sources. So try to keep the cables away from heat sinks and stuff like that. Hence like all the trouble I went through trying to make sure that nothing was touching these heat pipes. Okay, it's also talking about hooking up power to the graphics card, and basically says that you should, for each graphics card connection, you should have one connection from the power supply to the graphics card. Some of the cables might split off, and you can like daisy chain. Don't daisy chain on your graphics card. Just one cable connection from the power supply directly to the graphics card. So we'll go with that. This just looks like an explanation of the connectors. I'm going to look real quick at what connectors I need for the graphics card so that I can take those out. Let's see if it tells me on the box, so I don't have to take out the whole card itself. Doesn't look like it. Okay, let's open her up. Unfortunately, the manual seems generic and isn't specific for the Sapphire Pulse. So it's basically just saying connect the, it says, if your card requires supplementary power, it must be connected directly to the power supply. Locate the appropriate power connector cables from the power supply connected. or them to the graphics card supplementary power connector. So looks like we're gonna have to look at the graphics card itself in order to decipher what power it requires. Very beefy card. Yeah, just looks like it will just fit. Looks like it's just going to fit this way. In fact, I think I'm looking at do some quick eyeball measurements here. I think I might have to remove the case fans here. This might be too big. Believe that the bracket will go like this, and the GPU is going to go like that. Yep. So okay. So GPU is going to face this way. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, I might have to remove these fans, these case fans, for this to be able to fit. Let's see if I can get this in here with the bag. I'd like it to be protected. I think I gotta, actually, when I think about it, I think I have to remove the top bracket to make my life easier here. Yeah. Let me see if I can put the eyeball from the top here. Yeah, I think the case fans are gonna have to come out. Yeah, I think that's just how it's gonna have to be. Let me remove start by removing this here. I can hopefully get an eyeball on the requirements of the graphics card. I mean, the case fans with the GPU fans, I think it might just be overkill anyway, but let's see. Actually, it looks like it'll just fit with the case fans. Okay. Case fans will be blowing air into the GPU. Actually, I wonder if maybe that's not a good idea. So here's my thinking. If the GPU isn't spinning the fans at an appropriate temperature, or like at an appropriate appropriate speed, or the case fans are, you know, pushing air into the GPU, those fans might build up a current in the GPU and might burn some circuitry. Yeah, I don't know if that's the case or if like there's fail-safes built into the cooling supply so that wouldn't happen, but I don't know if I want to chance it. I think I'm just going to take those case fans out and just rely on the GPU fans. And maybe somebody can let me know if I'm just being a little too nervous here, if I really shouldn't worry and the case fans will be fine. But I don't know, my expensive brand new graphics card that has the fans built in already doesn't really need, you know, 2 case fans blasting more air into it. All right, so from this point, the manual says to remove the top of the chassis of the frame here. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to install the power supply. Right, the original question I had was, sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there. The original question I had was, what power do I need for this GPU? It looks like we need 3 for the 12 volts, I think. I think that's what that is. So, okay, so we're gonna need 3 of those, plus we're gonna need 1 more for the board, plus the ATX power. So we're talking 4 I think 12 volts. I think that's what that is. I can double check. Okay, so it looks like there are differences. There's the main power connector that I think is like the ATX power connector. I don't think it's called an ATX power connector. I think it's just called the main power connector. Then there is the 12-volt power connector and the PCIe power connector. They're different connections, so we'll need to make sure that we are running the right ones. I believe the 12-volt power connector is what goes to the motherboard, and the PCIe power connector is what would go to the graphics card. Let me double check on the motherboard manual to make sure that I have that right, that 12 volt goes to the motherboard. Yes, it looks like it's correct. It's asking for ATX 12 volt. Okay. All right, so we're going to take the mounting bracket, the power supply mounting bracket, and we're going to connect it to the power supply, and then we will connect it to the chassis, to the case. We got our connectors, plugs, wires. We'll be getting back into that in a minute. Here is our SFX 850 watt power supply. Okay, there's a sticker on here that says fan will not spin until a specific core temperature is reached. I'm pretty sure that that sticker comes off, so I will do that now. Okay, nifty little unit. Pretty amazing that they get so much power in these little units here. So yeah, looks like we got 4 PCIEs, 8-pin PCIe, the 10-pin motherboard, which, interestingly enough, I only see an 8-pin on the motherboard. Let me check that again. Okay, so it is saying do not plug the PCIe power cable to the, what looks like 8-pin connector on the motherboard. So it looks like there's the 10-pin motherboard connector here, which will probably convert to an 8-pin 12 volt. Let me check the wires here. I'm a bit confused. The power supply is showing 8-pin PCIe and CPU. However, the motherboard manual says, warning, please make sure that the power cable connected is for the CPU and not the graphics card. Do not plug the PCIe power cable to this connector. So let me check the power supply manual one more time and see if I can find that connector, that 12 volt connector. Maybe they're just talking about the wire. Let's see if there's any indication. Looks like these cables might be labeled PCI. Here we go, CPU. Okay, so we've got a CPU cable in here. Let me pull that out. So I think how this is working. There's the connection that goes into the power supply unit, which it's labeled CM-PSU there. Oh, that might be, yeah, that's right side up. Is that right side up? No, that's upside down. There you go. CM-PSU. Yeah, CM-PSU. And then that goes to CPU. And that's what's going to go to the motherboard. So this is our motherboard cable. Then on the other hand, we've got the CM-PSU that goes to the PCIe end, which will go to the graphics card. So this will be a graphics card cable. So let me plug in this cable to the CPU. All right, so I just installed the cables for the 24-pin ATX connector on the motherboard so that I won't have to get in there later when the power supply is ready. All right, so let's get back to mounting this power supply. All right, so we got the mounting bracket installed. The fan exhaust will be facing out the exhaust the same way that the CPU exhaust is going to face. And the mounting, this top lip comes up here, and this like back plate comes down here. And then this lip slides over the case here. I believe that is how it works. Okay, like that. Well, maybe. Okay. It's not lining up nicely. Okay, there we go. Okay, now I think I got it lined up. So now we'll get the screws in here. Apologies, my dog is, Maxine's not happy, she's grumpy. It's way past her bedtime, and she is just grumpy and really mad at something. She's just looking out the window. Can't even see anything, it's pitch black outside, but there's something to be mad at out there. Okay, this seems a little bit weird. Maybe I think that, yeah, I think this is supposed to go under this case, under this, not on the outside of it. That would make more sense to me, at least. I think that's what it's telling me to do. But yeah, let's see that. Yeah, I think that's correct, because there's a little indentation here. So this lip needs to go on the inside of the case, not on the outside of the case like I had it. Yeah, it's late, I'm tired, I'm making dumb mistakes, but again, I'll make mistakes so you don't have to. All right, so there is a lot of extra power cable. I don't know why Fractal included so much power cable, like so much cable, period, that they could have used half of this amount. So in order to connect this, I don't know, I'm gonna have to figure out some way to manage this cabling without it bunching up in multiple places. I'm gonna have to see. So yeah, let's get this in here and installed. So looks like we run into another snag. I'm only identifying 2 cables that are PCIe, and then another cable that's CPU. So I think I don't think that the PCIe cables are the same as the CPU cable. I don't think so. In the manual, it states them as different. Yeah, they are stated as different. So, because the 7900 XTX requires 3 PCIe cables, and it's recommending that I don't run, that the connections are that I don't run, or I don't daisy chain the power into the graphics card. When the graphics card has 3 connectors, it is recommended to use 3 PCIe cables, each with a 6+2 pin power supply, and do not use the connector of the adapter cable. That's all well and good, but they only gave me 2 wires, 2 cables, not 3. So I don't know if, yeah, it seems like this is frustrating because they gave me, they're saying don't daisy chain, yet they only gave me 2 for a 3. See, does it say what comes in this product, this package from Cooler Master? No, of course not. Very inadequate instructions from Cooler Master. And if they are saying use 3 wires to plug in and don't daisy chain the graphics card, then they should provide 3 wires, especially when it's saying do not use, cables from another power supply, even if they are from the same company. I guess I'm gonna have to order another cable. This is very frustrating. Yeah, these are all the SATA power cables. It doesn't help me. Okay. All right, I guess with where we're at right now, let's see, is there anything in the Sapphire Pulse instructions about the power? No, it doesn't say anything. It's unfortunately it's generic. They did it so that it can apply to any of their graphics cards. So that's no help. All right, I think we've hit a stopping point here. I'm going to have to do some research, see if I can daisy chain. Otherwise, I'm going to have to order another cable from Cooler Master in order to get this to work. Yeah, we'll see. All right, thanks. All right, so I'm back, and after some research, I found out that it should be okay to daisy chain one of the cables. One of them will be hooked up to the graphics card, and the other one will be daisy chained. The problem comes from the amount of power draw coming out of the PSU, but then also the amount of power that's going through these cables. But these cables that came with this PSU are 300 volt rating and 16 AWG, which from what I could understand online should be good. Again, I don't know, it's just kind of crappy in my opinion that Cooler Master would say don't use or don't daisy chain for a GPU, but then give you daisy chain cables and not give you 3 cables when they're saying use 3 cables. That compounded with the fact that it's very difficult to get Cooler Master cables in the US, just compounds this problem, makes it worse. So yeah, I'm gonna have to stay on top of thermals, power draw, and you know, really monitor this system, given the small form factor and the limitations that we're working with right now. So in the meantime, I've done some light cable management. I've hooked up the remaining power supply cords, cables here, and now we're going to be moving on to the next step, which is installing the GPU. And so yeah, let's head on to that part. All right, so we're going to be installing the GPU bracket as the next step here. The Fractal GPU bracket, it's kind of like got like this riser board on it. There's a little protective plastic on that. So we need to remove this plastic. It's harder than it looks. There we go. Okay, and you just line it up with the case. So you can see that there's 3 holes on the bracket. You line that up with the holes on the case, and you slide it into the PSI slot in the motherboard. Make sure that cables aren't in the way, and make sure that the latch is open on the PCIe slot on the motherboard. So I opened it up there, and now we press this into place while it's lined up until it clicks into place. Okay. All right, so we are in. No click yet. Okay, I guess we were in. I just had to manually latch it on, which is fine, just as long as we're in and it's latched into place and locked in, it's fine. So now that we have that in, we install the screws, locking the mounting bracket in place. Okay, the GPU bracket is installed and in place. Next is to install the GPU. So it's suggesting that we remove the top bracket. Let's see if, since I have eyeballed it and actually placed the GPU in there without needing to remove the top bracket. I'm wondering if that is something I have to do. I think I might be able to get away with not removing the top bracket. I might pay for that later, or the top part of the case here, especially when I'm trying to plug in the power into the GPU. Let me struggle running this through here now. Get this in position so that I don't have to mess around with this when the GPU is in there. Okay. So now let's try to install this graphics card. All right, so let me see if I can angle this better for you. So here's where the riser card's going to go, and that is somewhere in this pile of stuff. It's around here somewhere. I saw it not too long ago. Here we go. Okay. So here's the riser card. I believe that's PCIe 4 that this is shipped with. And so this slots into the card here to give it some height. I'm wondering why does it need this? Can't it just slot right in? Maybe that's why I would probably need to remove the top bracket. If this can't fit right here, and it's gonna rest on top here. Let me do a quick eyeball with the GPU, see what we're working with. Yeah, so I've decided I'm going to take the top of the case off like they suggest. It will. I thought I would maybe be able to make my life easier by not doing it, but I'm realizing I'm making my life harder by not doing it. So I'm just going to remove it. All right, so I've got the top off, and I'm going to install the riser that they included here, and then we will get the graphics card in here and see what we're working with. I'll have to run the cables, what side the cables are going to need to be on. Looks like they are on that side that they are hanging off of, so that's good. They're in the right spot. Okay, so let's get the rest of this going. So there's that riser cable. This one also has a plastic protection on the inputs. All right, so there it comes off. And installed into the correct orientation. Looks like there's another part on the top that you take off. That another thing that slides in there. Take that off, and then you put it into place. There we go, snaps on. All right, now for the graphics card itself. The Sapphire Pulse Radeon RX 7900 XTX. This one, I purchased this one because it's a small form factor that can fit in this case. So I'm going to take the protective plastic off of it. There it is with the plastic off. Very good looking card. Very happy with this. So let's install this, get this in place. Wondering, yeah, the power is gonna have to come up this, it's gonna be interesting. Okay, so we will slide this through the top. I can get these into the expansion slots here. There's also a thumb screw here that I left on here I should take off. Okay, so because this is a 2-slot card, well, I think like a 2.5 slot card, it does fit easily into this case. And so if I line it up correctly into the slots and slide it in, push it into place. There we go, and it slides in. Okay, took a little finesse, a little finagling, but it's in, and it's looking good. So now I'll attach the thumb screws here to hold it into place. Okay, and I'll put one more bracket in here to complete the look. If I can get it in. Well, I might not be able to get it in. I guess should probably have this in before you put the GPU in, have the last one in, so that you can, so that you don't have to pull it out again like I'm about to do. All right, so now that the GPU is installed, I will power in the plug in the power here. All right, and again, the documentation from Cooler Master says to use a separate cable for each power plug within the GPU, but they only provide two power cables, and they have the daisy chain on them for the PCIe. Again, like kind of a big fail from Cooler Master, kind of crappy. Seems like they're just trying to protect themselves and not really providing what's best for the customer. But I did look it up, and the power requirements of the GPU and the processor and the system should be well within limits, and the power draw on these cables should be within limits, even daisy chained. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right. So one thing I'm realizing here is This is coming well above the top of the case where this power is coming in here. And this is what I was nervous about. I was hoping that I would be able to like just get it plugged in and work with it, but you know, I think might be able to, it might be able to come down enough for it to come on. We'll see. Also going to need to pull this this extra cabling into the case here and try to get it out of the way so that the back cover can come out here. All right, so it looks like we might get lucky and this might have enough clearance. Again, this card is a pretty small form factor card, for just a piece of plastic, that does fit nicely into the case, and it does give us some room to work with here. Let me show you, see if we can get a better look here. So you can see that there's some clearance on this side. There's plenty of clearance in the front here. I think that we could actually have some fans here. It's possible that these Fractal fans, it looks like they definitely would work, and it looks like there's enough clearance between them and the, I would say there's maybe like a quarter of an inch, a third of an inch between between the GPU and the case fan. But again, I'm kind of nervous about pushing that case fan air into these fans, them spinning and generating a current. Again, maybe that's something that I shouldn't be too worried about, but I don't know. I would hate for something terrible to happen to my new graphics card. So I'm going to leave them out for now. I'll check thermals. I might go back to the fans, but you know, we'll start without them. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the top of the case back on. So one thing that I did, which was kind of silly, there were two different types of screws that were holding this in together. There was a silver screw and a black screw. The silver screw is smaller than the black screw, and I'm having a hard time remembering which one went where. I think that the silver screws were on this side. So it looks like it's a bit closer of a fit, so we'll go with that. So just keep in mind, remember which side the screws were in. All right, so just for reference, it looks like the silver screws were on the side with the case fans. So just for reference for the rest of you out there. All right, so another trick. I wish I had taken note of this when I was removing the top part of the case. When you're reinstalling it, the top part of the case goes inside of the front and back panels. So they don't go on the outside, even though they're kind of like, looks like it should go on the outside, it doesn't. It goes on the inside. So when you're reapplying the case back on, or the top back onto the case, make sure that you're inside of those front and back panels. All right, so we've got the top back installed, the top of the case back installed. We've got the graphics card installed with the riser, motherboard, CPU, cooler, power supply, everything's plugged in. And everything looks like it's in place where it should be. So I think we're looking pretty good here. Something a little concerning, the graphics card looks a little off center. I don't think it's because of, might be because of this putting pressure on it. I mean, everything looks plugged in the right place. It just looks like the graphics card is at a bit of an angle. I don't know why. It doesn't look like there's that much pressure coming from the power cables here that would do that. And like I can easily push them down. It's kind of coming back by itself. I don't know, maybe the graphics card itself is kind of at a bit of an angle. Maybe I can get the thumb screws a little bit looser here. No, it doesn't seem to be an issue. I mean, everything is aligned and connected in the riser. I think we're okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so the next step is to install the vertical stand on the bottom foot of the case. So again, that's the one with these big holes on the side. You can see there. So that's going to be the next thing we do is install the stand. Okay, make some space here. Okay, so here's the stand. So it looks like there's these screw holes that we're going to be mounting onto it. 4 times M4, they're saying is the type of screw. So let's see if I can tell what kind is an M4. M4, mounting screw, okay? Sure, the old mounting screw. Okay, looks like they're a little bit on the bigger side. I think it's these guys. Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we align the stand with the mounting holes, and we just screw it right on top. All right, and we've got the bottom of the case mounted to the stand. All right, next is we install the case panels. So we'll get the case and put it right on top of the stand right here. So let me do this, move this off to the side. Don't need you anymore. So this is the front I/O here. There's a little thing on the stand where it shows the front. It says Fractal. You just align that up there. And there are holes at the bottom. Actually, let me show you. You can see there are these kind of like these posts that are sticking out at the bottom of the case there. You line that up with these holes right here. And the same on the bottom. All right, so there it is, standing up. Hey, we've made some progress. Okay, now let's get the top on. Let's see, this is the moment of truth. Okay, so I just wanted to check something because it looks like it's like flush along here, but in the back of the case, I don't know if you can see the difference here. There's like a little bit of a lip here that comes out, but it seems like no matter which way I mount it, that's the case. So that's probably just how the design is. Okay, and then the final steps are to put the side and front panels back on. Okay, so there's the two panels. Let me show you. There's the one that's completely perforated and then the one that's only perforated on the top. The one that's only perforated on the top is this is the graphics card side. So where the graphics card intake fans are, that's where this goes. On the other side, it's just the back panel, the back plate of the motherboard and the power supply units. So we'll get this installed here. And there is a bit of an angle on these. I don't know if you can see there, but apparently from what I've seen online, that's pretty normal. Also, you can see there's more of these posts here. Those will snap into the socket in the case. All right, and then the front I/O. I'm just going to try to be careful putting this back on. Very easy, snapped right into place. And there we have it. Build complete. So I am noticing there is a bit of a separation on the side here from the top panel and the side of the case. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a little bit of a wobble there, a little space. Not terrible, but does kind of break the aesthetic a little bit. This is where the GPU wires are coming down, but I don't think they're applying that much pressure on it that it should be pushing that out. I think this is just kind of a bit of a defect on the case, unfortunately. But it's not the end of the world. I can live with that. Yeah, thanks for sticking this out. This multi-day build, but I'm very happy with the case. I wanted that small form factor, something that I can have on my desk and not take up too much space, but also be top of the line and give me the performance that I want for years to come, and be able to, won't slow me down at all. So thanks again, and happy gaming.